Hey everyone, it's Michael here from Replica Airguns with another tabletop video review. Today we're checking out the KJWorks KP-18 TBC CO2 Blowback Airsoft pistol. And I haven't shot this particular gun yet, but I have shot similar guns. So for instance, like this Umarex Glock 17 Gen 4 that I've already reviewed. And I'll be showing you how similar they really are, although this is a 17 Glock style and that's more of an 18 Glock style. We'll get into that in a little bit here. So if you want to get an idea of how this will perform, you could check out that Umarex Glock 17 video. That said, I will be performing a full field test shooting video for the KJWorks KP-18 TBC, as soon as I get around to it, of course. Now keep in mind, we do have this product listed in our Canada Replica Airgun store over at replicaairguns.ca. I'll put a link in the description so it's a bit easier for you to find it. And so let's get right into the specifications. The KP-18 uses a standard 12-gram CO2 cartridge, but you can acquire gas magazines for it. And it does have that selectable toggle or lever on the back here to select either semi or full auto. It does have a typical Glock light single action only trigger, which is quite nice. And you're going to find a metal slide with a polymer frame. It also has a full-size dropout metal magazine that holds the 22 6mm airsoft BBs, along with, in this case, a 12-gram CO2. It does weigh in at 1.7 pounds or 770 grams, and its total length is 7.9 inches or 20 centimeters. It does have about a 4-inch or 10.6 centimeter inner barrel, and by the way, it does come with an extension barrel, possibly to help it with import into Canada. Now the claimed FPS is 410, that might be with the extension on it when I do my field test shooting video. More than likely I'll just shoot it with the shorter barrel because that's what most people are going to do. They're not going to use the barrel extension. It's a little precarious sticking out of the gun unless you do plan on putting a mock suppressor on it, which I would advise if you're going to use that inner barrel. It'll keep it protected. It'll look a lot cooler as well. You're going to find an under barrel rail for accessories, and an under barrel incorporated safety serial number. I'll show you that when I do the walk around. You're going to find white dot sight on the front and that typical white outline on the back rear sight. They are non-adjustable, by the way. It does have an internal adjustable hop up. You'll have to field strip it a little bit, or at least partially, to get to it. And it does come in a basic cardboard box with an Allen key, the barrel extension, a small bag of airsoft BBs, and this mystery spring I can't figure out. But here's the BBs it comes with. Here's your Allen key for the CO2. Here is the mystery spring. I've looked in the basically all the parts diagrams and I can't figure out what this is for. Maybe you know. If you do know, comment in this video so that we all can know. And then this is the barrel extension, and it just threads in here like this. I think I'm going the right way. Maybe I'm going the wrong way. There we go. So it's reverse thread. Okay, so you just thread that in. Like I said, it's kind of precarious, so you're not going to want to keep that on there when you're using it in the field, or you're going to probably whack it and break those threads off at some point. I have seen that happen in the past. I've actually gotten a couple guns that came that way once or twice, and so you'll see that these threads are broken off inside there, and you'll have to get them out one way or another. And if you want to use this, you'll have to get a replacement part for it. Now the box isn't really anything to speak of. It's just a black box. Not a lot of writing on there. We just put our stickers on there so we know what they are. And so we can put them somewhere in the warehouse and figure out which gun's which. Here's the manual, by the way. Pretty basic manual. Okay, KP-18. You've got these little pictures that tell you kind of not what to do with it. Little X's telling you don't use your gun in this manner. Here you go. Some things you can do, right? Here's how to use the CO2 if you're going to fill it, right? Obviously loading BBs, pulling the trigger, loading a magazine, how to use that safety or that selector switch. And that's for the safety there on the bottom. Selector switch up top, right? How to adjust it for safe or non-safe. How to get the barrel out there once it's field stripped. How to field strip it, right? All that great stuff, okay? And the parts diagram as well with a list of the parts there. I did mention the Glock 17 from Umarex. This is a fully licensed product from Umarex. And I wasn't 100% sure where Umarex was getting their guns because they don't actually make them. Other companies like KJWorks, for instance, or KWC could potentially make some of their products. Definitely a lot of the 1911s come from basically KWC. But in the case of these Glocks, I'm pretty sure they come from KJWorks because the reason I know that is if you take this gas magazine out, and put it in the Glock-18, you can see that it actually holds it quite nicely. But not only that, it fires, right? So if I do the selector, right, I get to test it out. So I don't have to put a CO2 to show you guys, which is nice. Yeah, that's fun, right? So obviously it works. Now, it is slightly different because that is a Glock 17, not a Glock 18. But as you can see, a lot of the parts, like the magazines, are going to be mix and match, potentially trigger groups, things like that. I don't know if you can mix and match the slides, but possibly. So I'm going to say that this product more than likely is made by KJWorks. Otherwise, these magazines wouldn't be interchangeable. So yeah, interesting, right? So this one is not licensed, so, you know, buyer beware. Glock isn't a big fan of unlicensed guns, and I'm not sure how they're going to like KJWorks, you know, producing a gun that they're selling that isn't licensed, that seems to be in the North American market, as I have my hands on it. Glock hasn't traditionally been a big fan of that, but maybe now that they have their own licensed versions, they've had them for a while, they're backing off just a little bit. I don't know. Again, you know, my recommendation in most cases is if you can get access to the Umarex version, it's a fully licensed gun. You're not going to have any problems buying it or getting it serviced or any of those kinds of things, because Glock doesn't have any issues with their own licensed versions here in Canada. All right, we're going to do a quick field strip, and then we're going to do a walk around. So might as well let's do the kind of walk around part first, then we'll field strip it. But you can see you have this inner barrel that I already showed you, and then you have this outer barrel threading that you can put the compensator on. So you have the inner barrel for the inner barrel threading, and then you have the outer barrel that has the threading as well for a mock suppressor of some sort, whatever you want to put on there. Okay, so you can take that off, but this barrel is going to stick out because of that. You've also got a Picatinny rail here. You do have this safety here, so this is a working safety, but it also looks like the serial number as well, but that does work as a safety. You've got your takedown levers, you've got your slide catch release right there. You do have your selector switch, so up is semi, down is full auto. You have your rear sight, which has this white markings, not white dot, but they've got this triangular or half triangular or rectangular markings around it. It's kind of nice. And then white dot on the front makes it really easy to see things when you're lining them up. And it's got the Glock-18 look. The pistol, the way that the grip is designed, is very similar to what you'd find on a real steel Glock, except for that would probably say Glock, not KJ. You have, you know, the working trigger safety, very, you know, exactly the same as what you'd find on a Glock, a real steel Glock, very similar trigger and style and action. It's very similar. Same shape trigger guard, right? This is really a very similar, almost one-to-one replica, I guess you'd say. I hate to use the word replica when it doesn't have Glock licensing. Yeah, you can get yourself in trouble sometimes with these products. Don't ask me how I know. And yeah, there is the, you know, it's this gas blowback there. You'd have typical Glock licensing on those if you actually had a Glock. Same with here, would say, you know, Glock licensing and stuff like that. Yeah, let's take this magazine out quickly. Again, this is a CO2 mag. It holds 22 rounds, and that would be like a double stack BB magazine, right? So you just pull that off and you can get at your CO2 and pop it in there. Nice full metal magazine. Let's take this down. All right, I was struggling a little bit there. Little couple tips. So when you can kind of like just drop these and give it a little whack and it'll come off, but another easier way is just to all the way off, all the way back and forward. It seems to work better. And then you can get your slide off. Just, you don't have to fight it as much. So pull the slide all the way back while you're pulling these little tabs down on both sides, and then all the way back. Also make sure your trigger has been disengaged, and of course the magazine's out before you try to take the slide off. It should come off when you pull it all the way back and move forward, again with these tabs down. And then you can get access to your full slide here, and you've got your, you know, your gas tube, you've got your spring that holds your barrel in. So you're going to probably need to unscrew this if you want to take that barrel out, but you should be able to get access to the hop up here. You can see that hop up wheel. So if you want to just adjust hop up, this is an easy way to get to it. Obviously you'll need to take that slide off. If you want to access to everything else, if you want to clean it up or whatnot, you can take the barrel out. You can take a lot of these components out as well, but we're not going to do that today. Now, one thing when you're putting it back in, make sure that this piece is nice and flush. Otherwise it can catch going in, and then this is going to stick out and it's not going to go in very well. So make sure that's nice and flush. Otherwise, like I said, that piece will be sticking out all the way to here because it's not flush, right? So now we're back in business and we're good to go. Okay, so at this point, let's get into some of the pros and the cons and then finish up this video review. It's nice that it has similar metal and plastic parts as you'd find on a real steel Glock. It's got the metal slide, polymer frame, metal internal barrel, lots of decent weight to it, about 1.7 pounds. So metal where you'll normally find it, and plastic or polymer where you'll normally find it. Having trouble speaking today for some reason. Now it has pretty decent blowback operation, as you saw when I was demoing it in semi and full auto. And the fit and finish is excellent, as you're traditionally going to find KJWorks products have really good fit and finish. It does have a fairly high capacity full-size dropout metal magazine that holds that CO2 and the 22 rounds. And I like that they've hidden the safety, so normally you wouldn't find an actual safety on a Glock other than the trigger safety, but under that Picatinny rail area is a serial number safety. So if you do want to lock it up, make sure someone's not going to shoot it accidentally, you can do that. And again, that trigger safety is also a working safety, so it's a little harder to accidentally pull it unless your finger is fully on it and depressing that trigger safety. I like that you're going to find a white dot front sight and that white outline on the rear sight for easy target acquisition. And just like a real steel gun, all the working components are the same, so it's going to behave and it's going to function just like your real steel Glock if you own one. And it does come with an extended threaded outer barrel for adding a possible compensator or mock suppressor, along with that inner barrel extension for higher velocity shooting, possibly for easier import into Canada. Now, if you're already a Glock owner, this would make a great training weapon because it's going to function and feel a lot the same, just with a lot less recoil, but you can shoot it in a lot more places and get a lot more trigger time for a lot less cost. Now, as I showed you, you can use either CO2 or gas magazines. So if you already have that Umarex Glock 17, you can throw that magazine in there and use it in this product as well, and vice versa. And as I showed you, it's field strippable, and it's a bonus that you don't have an orange tip on here, telling everybody in the whole world that it's an airsoft gun, although that's not a bad idea sometimes, but if you want it to be more realistic, this is the way to go. All right, a few cons. The sights are not adjustable, which is kind of typical of these airsoft style pistols or even BB pistols. And if you do plan on using the full auto switch and shooting it in full auto, it is going to go through CO2 like crazy, but hey, maybe it's worth it. Now, there really weren't a lot of other cons. I kind of had a con that it does have that semi and full auto selector on the left side, but that's what you're going to find on a Glock 18 anyways, even from Glock. All right, that wraps up this tabletop review for the KJWorks KP-18 TBC CO2 Blowback Airsoft pistol. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you're interested in buying it, check out the link in the description, or you can just go over to replicaAirguns.ca, click on either airsoft pistols and search for it, or you can even go to the KJWorks section and find it there. If you're interested in other products, air guns, BB guns, airsoft guns, pellet guns, blank guns, and other accessories, we do have a lot of products in both our Canada and our US Replica Airgun stores over at replicaAirguns.ca for Canada and replicaAirguns.us for the US. All right, thanks again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Until next time, take care.